They said he was the dirtiest fighter in the business. Headbutts, the laces of his glove, kidney shots, holding while hitting. If there was a rule, he found the crack in it. He'd deny it if you asked, but not for long. He had a win-at-all-cost soul, the kind that would take your lunch, your teeth, and your pride in the same round. Before a fight, he'd sit there, stone-faced, like the world owed him money. Someone once asked him why he always looked so mean, so glum. "I don't know," he said. "I guess I'm just evil." Joseph Sandley Sadler was born on June 23, 1926, in Boston, Massachusetts. His parents came from the island of Nevis in the British West Indies, and by the time Sandy was 2, the family had packed up and headed south to Harlem. Sadler's father was a follower of Father Divine, the widely popular preacher who drew national attention in the 1930s and 40s. So devoted was he to the cause that he went to court and legally changed his name to Moses Defendant. But beyond the church, his true passion was boxing, and he was the one who first pushed Sandy toward the ring. He started in the Police Athletic League, where he was trained by Dick Bruno. He was a natural left-hander, but was converted to orthodox, winning over 50 amateur fights before deciding it was time to join the paid ranks. He stumbled early, stopped in his second bout by a journeyman named Jock Leslie, but the loss lit something in him. After that, he didn't just win, he dominated. One boxing reporter described his left hook as something that, quote, slammed like a barn door in a gale. At 5'8", he was a skyscraper in the featherweight division, a walking mismatch of reach and raw power. Sadler went into the Navy in 1945, but after 2 months, he was released with a medical discharge. In 1946, he met former world champ Phil Terranova. Sadler later insisted he never fought dirty unless it was returned in kind. But the Terranova fight was an alley brawl dressed up in trunks. There were headbutts, sucker punches after the bell, thumbs to the eye, and even biting. Terranova chewed on Sadler's arm like a dog going after a steak bone. Sadler lost a 10-round decision, but his reputation came out sharper than before. He was a guy who could fight clean or in the mud, and was dangerous either way. He didn't let the loss slow him. He sometimes fought in the lightweight division, giving up weight just to stay active. He knocked out future lightweight champ Joe Old Bones Brown in 2 rounds, and held another eventual title holder, Jimmy Carter, to a draw. 14 opponents in a row fell before his fists, many before the halfway mark. Sadler's manager, Charlie Johnston, became his loudest prophet. He told every reporter that his man was the featherweight's answer to a sledgehammer. "You put my boy in there with Willie Pep," Johnston said, "and Pep's gonna need a priest." Pep was the king, the featherweight champion, an untouchable in satin trunks who was already being fitted for a place among the all-time greats. But on an October night in 1948, after 4 years of scratching, clawing, and knocking over anyone in his way, Sandy Sadler finally got his ticket to the Garden and to Pep. Over 14,000 jammed into the arena, Pep's loyal crew in full voice. The betting boards had Sadler as a 3-to-1 underdog. Nobody, not the gamblers, not the press, not even Pep's corner, saw the storm that was coming. Sadler came out in the first like a tiger sprung from a cage. When the round ended, Pep slumped on a stool and muttered to his trainer, "Gee, this kid hurts." Round 3 was a mugging. Sadler bullied the champ into his own corner and lit him up with both hands. A left dropped Pep for 9, a right sent him there again. Somehow Pep survived the round, but the writing was on the canvas. In the 4th, a right hand made Pep's knees turn to wet cardboard. He clinched, tried to stall the inevitable, but Sadler shook him loose. One crashing left hook later, and the belt wasn't just taken, it was torn from Pep's waist. The Garden went silent. One reporter called Pep a shell. Another called Sadler a killer with no fear. There were whispers about tigers, about how you couldn't beat a man like this. You had to put him down for good. Sadler didn't let the ink dry before going on another tear, 5 straight non-title wins, even handing iron-jawed Terry Young his first stoppage loss. Then came the rematch in February of 1949, another Garden sellout, this time over 19,000 on hand. Pep got a roaring ovation climbing through the ropes, and he was going to need every decibel of it. Like their first go-round, the whispers were in the air before the bell. In '48, the late flood of money had been all Sadler. Now, after watching Pep get mauled the first time, the oddsmakers somehow had him a 6-5 favorite. Reporters scratched their heads. Gamblers whispered fix. But Pep just went to work. The opening round was a blur of satin and leather. Pep pumped out 37 jabs in 3 minutes, painting Sadler with the lead hand while the taller man stalked like a slow tide rising. In the second and third, Pep turned matador, darting in with combinations and slipping away before Sadler could get the hammer cocked. Then came the fourth. A Sadler left hook caught Pep flush, and the Garden sucked in its breath. Pep rallied, taking the next 4 rounds, but the toll showed. His nose poured blood, and every exchange left another red smear on the canvas. But desperation made him crafty. He grabbed Sadler by the shoulders, wrestled him to the floor, even twisted that dangerous left arm. Sadler barked at the ref, but his complaints went nowhere. In the 9th, the Hunter got his moment. A right cross buckled Pep, and a follow-up volley had him reeling. The 10th was worse. Sadler came out with a 2-fisted storm, and Pep looked ready to go before cinching his arms around Sadler's waist and hanging on like a drowning man. But the 11th, that was vintage Pep. Bleeding, swollen, he somehow found the rhythm. Stabbing jabs, body shots, crisp counters. For 3 more rounds, he mixed art and aggravation, holding, spinning Sadler, stepping on his feet. Anything to keep the bigger man off balance until the final bell rang. The cards read unanimous for Pep. Sadler walked out unmarked. Pep left needing 11 stitches in his cheek, nose, and eyebrow. But for one night, the old master had painted a masterpiece and regained his title. Sadler didn't sulk. He didn't stall. He just put his head down and went back to work, rattling off 10 straight wins and making the critics chase his shadow. They'd been barking for years about his dirty tactics. The elbows, the shoves, the way a clinch with Sandy could turn into a wrestling match.
They call me a rough fighter, and some have called me a dirty fighter. But I feel I'm as clean as any other fighter in the ring if they want to fight that way. Of course, I'm not going to let anyone rough me up without doing the same. Take the Pep fights. The only way I could fight back was to do what he was doing. I wouldn't be featherweight champion of the world if I let him get away with all the tricks he tried on me. Sure, DeMarco is a rough fighter. He comes in at you with his head down. He's a tough guy to fight because of his style. You've got to rough him up a little to quiet him down. Otherwise, he'll bull you all over the place. With a guy like DeMarco, you've got to show him you're the boss or you haven't got a chance.
Paddy DeMarco found out the hard way. The future lightweight champ lasted 9 rounds, with one reporter describing him as bleeding from every pore, before his corner refused to let him out for the 10th. 2 months later, Sadler was trading leather with Orlando Zulueta for the vacant junior lightweight title, a split decision win that added another belt to his collection. By April of 1950, he was back to his old hunting ground, chopping down Lauro Salas in 9 before the 3rd chapter with Willie Pep. This time the stage was bigger, Yankee Stadium, and the crowd was hungry, nearly 29,000 pouring in with dreams of another epic. What they got instead was a letdown. The fight turned into something far less than the legends both men had been building.
This is the 3rd meeting between Pep and Sadler. Their first fight was in October 1948. Sadler won by a 4-round knockout, and he took the title. The second fight was the following February, and Pep regained his title in a 15-round spectacular decision. Willie Pep is one of the all-time ring greats. He's had 155 fights in his 12 years in the ring, and he's lost only twice. He's 28 years old, 4 years older than Sadler. Pep has heeled Sadler across the face with his gloves, the laces, and the referees warned him. Now here we are in round 3 of this 15-round featherweight title bout between world champion Willie Pep and former champion Sandy Sadler here at Yankee Stadium, New York. Willie Pep in the black trunks. Sadler's one of the hardest hitting featherweights in all ring history. He's also a better boxer than most fighters. He's got a snaky left jab, and he hits like a ton of bricks. In 8 years in the ring, Sadler has won 114 of 122 fights, 79 by knockout. He's been installed an 8-5 favorite tonight. The second fight between Pep and Sadler, the one before this, was one of the roughest in all ring history. This great crowd of 39,000 people expects to see another such sensational battle tonight. The gate of over $260,000 is more than double the previous high record for a featherweight title bout. Sweeping left hook that sent Willie Pep down. That punch stunned him. But it didn't hurt him too badly. Up at the count of 9. Sadler out after him now, wants to finish him off. Willie's head is cleared almost completely. He looks all right. These boys have been wrestling a lot in the clinches. The referee has had to pull them apart by force. This isn't exactly a grudge fight, but there's not much love lost between these two men. The end of round 3. Now round 5. Although Pep won their last battle, he took a terrific lacing around the head. Both of Pep's eyes were cut and closed. And as one of the sports writers put it, his features were badly scrambled. All the more indication of his great courage and boxing skill, if he could take all that punishment and still win the fight. That was a trip. Sadler was not knocked down. He tripped over Pep's right leg. Referee warns Pep about it. Both these men have trained like they never trained before. Everyone's agreed that conditioning may be the deciding factor, particularly for Pep. He's got to be on his toes in boxing every moment. He knows he's got to stay away from Sadler's left hook. Willie Pep almost lost his life in an airplane crash 4 years before. He suffered a fractured left leg, 2 cracked vertebrae, and internal injuries. Everyone thought his fighting career was over. But 4 months later, he was back in the ring and winning as usual. Now, here we are in round 7 of this 15-round featherweight title bout between world champion Willie Pep and former champion Sandy Sadler here at Yankee Stadium, New York. Sadler in the white trunks. That left hook is Sadler's favorite punch. It's really a half hook, half uppercut. He uses it like a southpaw. It's a difficult punch to avoid. He scored a lot of knockouts with it. Pep looks to be ahead on points so far. The round is over, but Pep has dislocated his left arm and he can't continue. Sandy Sadler wins and regains the world's featherweight title.
Pep's reign ended with a twist, literally. A shoulder separation in one of the fight's many clinches left the finish limp and unsatisfying, the kind of anticlimax that sends a crowd muttering on the way to the subway. Sadler had the featherweight belt back, but his edge didn't dull when the bell stopped ringing. Before a bout with Charlie Riley, he strolled in late for the weigh-in and caught an earful from the athletic commissioner. Tempers flared. When it came time for the ceremonial handshake, Sadler waved Riley off. "I don't want to shake hands," Sadler said. "I want to fight." In front of a roaring hometown crowd, Riley came out throwing leather, even rocking Sadler in the sixth. From Sadler's corner, his trainer Bert Briscoe chewed toothpicks and watched it all like a man eyeing the tide, knowing it would turn. And it did. Sadler broke Riley down with every trick in the old pro's book, hitting on the brake, scraping the heel of his glove across Riley's face, twisting his arm in the clinches. By the final bell, Riley was spent, and Sadler had a majority decision in his pocket. Then came the world tour, Argentina, Chile, Cuba, and the chaos that seemed to trail him like a shadow. In Havana against Diego Sosa, Sadler was warned for rabbit punches, booed for tactics the locals called dirty. He knocked Sosa out anyway, and the crowd exploded. 10,000 strong hurled cushions and bottles, screaming foul. Police had to fight through the mob to escort Sadler, and even the referee, from the ring. On his way out, the crowd jumped him, swinging fists and boots, but Sadler somehow slipped away in one piece. Now a year removed from his third dance with Pep, Sadler met him again, this time at the Polo Grounds. 14,000 packed the stands, all of them knowing what history promised when these two shared a ring, and wondering what could possibly be left in the well after everything that had come before.
Round one for the featherweight championship of the world. Willie Pep tries the left hand of the body. It's a little bit short. He's crowded by Sadler, who is much the taller of the two. Referee Ray Miller, a former fine lightweight, gets them apart. Sadler short with the left, short with another. As Willie Pep goes on the bicycle, comes in, crosses the right hand of the jaw. Willie Pep is in with a sharp jab to the chin. Willie Pep, one of the finest boxers of all time, no question about it. He comes in with a grazing right to the jaw, hooks that left on the mouth. Sadler, unperturbed, moves in on him with a jab on the chin. Sadler misses the left hand over the head as Willie ducks the punch and misses his own right, fired at Sadler's chin. Referee Ray Miller comes over to get them apart. Sadler feinting the left hand, forcing the action all the way, misses the left, countered with a left on the chin and spun around by Willie Pep. Pep moves away from a jab, takes a hard jab on the mouth. On the inside, it's Sadler with a crushing left hand to the body and missing a right hand at the jaw. Willie Pep, the will-o'-the-wisp from Hartford, Connecticut, former featherweight champion, trying to get it back. Again, the referee is over to get them apart. At long range again. Sadler missing a left hand over the head, misses another left hand. And they go into a clinch and whirl each other around. Pep holds Sadler against the ropes, and Sadler spins him this time as Ray Miller gets them apart. Sadler runs into a left and a right over the head as he misses his own right hand. Takes a light jab to the body by Pep, a left hand to the midsection by Pep. And Sadler in the inside crushes the left hand to the body. Again, the referee is over, getting them out of another clinch. And Pep is warned for infractions. Pep feints the left hand. Feints another, brings in a right on the jaw, hooks the left hand to the mouth of Sandy Sadler. Pep whips that right hand to the body. Pep starts the right, brings in a left that grazes the chin, hooks another left hand to the body, and there's the bell. Sadler at long range moves in. Pep misses a wild left hand, and Pep comes in, taking two lefts to the body and a grazing left to the jaw, a left that caves his kidneys, thrown by Sandy Sadler. Pep backs away. Pep seems to be cut around the right eye. Pep has a cut around the right eye, and it's only round two, scheduled for 15. But Pep is in with both hands to the head, grips the left hand to the body, and gets Sadler around the back of the neck. Sadler moves in close, grips the left to the body, chops two right hands to the jaw. Willie Pep moves away from him. Sadler coming in on him. Sadler misses the left. Sadler is beaten to the punch with both hands to the body and both hands to the head. Another right to the jaw, left hook to the mouth. A grazing right uppercut to the head, all by Willie Pep, and he pounds another right hand to the jaw. Sadler drops the gloves and then moves straight in, takes another left hook on the mouth by Pep. Pep backing away, bangs a hard left hand to the body of Sadler. Another left to the body by Willie Pep. Sadler coming in on him now, forces Willie Pep against the ropes, whirls him around. They're near a neutral corner. Now they're out in the center of the ring again. Pep comes in with a left and a right. One misses, the other two score, and he takes the right hand to the head. Sadler wild with a left, another right. Then he hurts Pep with the right hand to the body. Hurts him with another left hook to the body. And then a left hand to the jaw. And Sadler has Pep down. And the referee is going to toll over Willie Pep. Pep taking the mandatory 8 count, and the referee wipes off his gloves. Pep is down in the second round, and it's a 15-round fight. Nevertheless, he may be ahead on points. He takes the left hand to the body. And on the inside, it's Sadler with another left hand to the head. And again, the referee is over trying to get them apart. Sadler, feinting the left hand, comes in with a light left hand to the body, and there's the bell.
Willie, in this first 2 rounds, you get your eye open right away.
I didn't think Sandy punched that. He busted him up pretty good. He's a pretty good puncher, you know, this guy.
Good punch, all right. Now, how's this affect you, though? Your eyes cut,
Well,
you're bleeding now. Your plan for the fight, is it affecting
Well,
you?
you know, you can't fight a guy like a great fighter like Sandy with one eye. You know, you got to have 2 eyes, and eventually, the longer it went, the worse it became.
That was a pretty hard puncher, and I knew if I stayed on top of Pep, I know good and well I had to wear him down sooner or later. And that's what I
What's
done.
this grudge stuff? You guys
We
really
had about
hate
you 15 rounds, you didn't wear me down.
Well, I tell you about that fight. That fight was something else, that 15-round fight. Well, and
Incidentally,
still...
I might tell the folks that was the second fight. After you knocked Pep out in the 4th round, you fought 15 rounds, and Willie won the decision.
won the decision.
You know, Don, I boxed a fellow called Umberto Seara. He had won a decision over Sandy.
Right.
Then I had boxed Patty DeMarco, who had won a decision over Sandy. Beat him. But I beat 3 fellas that beat Sandy. So I won't have no trouble with this guy. You know, I could lick this guy. I didn't know this guy was a dynamite fighter.
Did you really hate each other at this stage?
Well, let me say, I didn't like him.
In a way,
match?
yes, I'll say
like him.
so. I'll
All
say
right,
so.
that's
I'll
right.
say so.
This guy had something
It
I
was.
wanted.
Oh, yeah, we're friends
You're
now.
good friends now.
Yeah,
At this stage,
Champion,
you
and
hated
I
each
wanted
other.
to keep my
Yeah,
title.
well, he was champion, like he said, and he wanted to keep his
the title.
title, and he didn't want no one messing with it.
And that's what happened to me when I wanted to take
You're in his
him.
territory.
Yeah, I was in his territory.
All right,
But
now
he
let's-
was a great fighter.
This guy, everything this guy hit, and this guy, I got to say something about Sandy. I don't like him, but he got the greatest knockout record for little guys that ever lived. He knocked
could really
everybody
hit,
out.
huh?
He knocked everybody out, this guy.
Don, you were
hit.
doing this fight. Who got dirty first, or did they get
I
dirty?
was going to ask that.
Dirty. We fought rough.
Now, wait a minute. Who started the roughhousing?
Well, I
The
wouldn't
first 2
say it
rounds
was dirty.
weren't bad.
See, I was on Pep all the time. I was trying to get at him so I could hit him. Now, Pep was grabbing, and Pep was trying to grab the hand that was doing the
shook the
most
hand,
work,
right.
you see? So what happened, I would pull away and punch at the same
Listen,
time
Don,
while he was grabbing, you see?
I
He
tell
was
everybody-
grabbing the hand that was whipping him, you see?
Sandy was a rough fighter. That was rough boxing on Sandy's part. That was clever boxing on my part.
Don, what happened in the 3rd and 4th rounds?
Well, they were much the same. Sadler always coming forward, whipping out that left hook. Pep dancing, boxing, trying to beat him to the punch. Sadler looking for one big punch to end it. Now the fight was becoming a no-holds-barred affair. In my opinion, Willie Pep was slightly ahead because of his superb boxing. Where Willie was almost down. Despite those 2 handicaps, Willie Pep has been doing a very, very good job, more than holding his own with the featherweight champion, Sandy Sadler, wearing the white trunks. Pep in with a light jab on the nose. The fight is getting a little bit rough. In fact, it borders on the dirty at this point. Pep in with a jab, another jab on the mouth, doing a bit of healing with that left hand as he moves away. Pep hooks the left to the body, another left hand on the jaw, left and a right to the jaw, left hook to the jaw, thrown by Willie Pep, the former champion. He whips the left hand to the body, that's short of the mark. Sadler can't untrack himself so far in this round. He runs into another right as Pep again beats him to the punch. Pep in with a left and a right to the jaw of Sandy Sadler. And another right on the chin. Pep is piling up points. About a schedule for 15 rounds. Will it go that far? Pep hooks that left hand to the body. Ray Miller, the referee, over to get them apart. The round is almost over. Pep crushes the body with the left hand. Takes the left to the body thrown by Sadler. And now they're in a clinch, and there is the bell. Round 6. Sandy Sadler in the white trunks, Willie Pep in the black. Pep misses the right over the head, hooks the left hand on the jaw. Pep gets away from 2. Another left hand thrown by Sadler is short of the mark. Pep moves in with that jab. His jab is short. And he does a bit of healing with the left hand again. Throws a grazing right on the jaw. Jab on the mouth by Willie Pep. 2 more jabs on the chin, this time by Sandy Sadler. Sharp, hurting jabs. Sadler hurts with those body punches. He may wear Pep down with them. Pep is in with both hands to the head. A left hand on the chin. Sadler moves in on him again. Pep feints the right hand. Comes in with a light jab on the mouth. Moves away, dancing neatly. Pep hooks the left hand to the body as he again, which he has done so often, beats Sadler to the punch. The referee has a time getting them out of the clinch now. Ray Miller doing a hard job in there. He's working hard. Pep comes in with a right on the chin. Another left on the jaw as Pep goes flat-footed to get power in his punches. Again, they go to close quarters. On the inside, it's Sadler crushing the right hand of the body as the referee again gets them apart. Sadler feigning the left hand. Pep comes in with a grazing right to the jaw. A left hand to the back thrown by Sadler. Sadler, a hard left hook on the mouth. Another left to the jaw. A crushing left on the mouth thrown by Sandy Sadler, the featherweight champion. Sadler misses the left hand over the head, crushes that left hand to the jaw as they go to close quarters. The round is almost over, and they're both down. There's the bell. Round 7 of a rough fight for the featherweight championship of the world. Pep is in with 2 light jabs aimed at the mouth. They do not land. Sadler tries to get in on him. Again, the referee comes over and gets them apart. Willie Pep again healing with the right hand as Sadler misses the left over the head. And again, they go to close quarters, and Pep tries to trip Sadler, getting his right leg around Sadler's legs. And the referee is down now. Now they've all been down. Only one official knocked down, though. That was of Willie Pep in the second round. And his right eye has been cut since, and now the referee is taking time out to warn Willie Pep about his foul tactics. Ready to go back in action now. Pep gets away from a long left hand thrown out to him by Sadler. Sadler is wild with the left hand over the head. Pep backing away, stabbing out with a jab that's short. Gets away from a jab. Sadler misses the left over the head. On the inside, Sadler's hard left hand reaches the body. He crushes another one in there, and then they try to get grips on each other, and Pep again tries to trip Sadler, but it's no go. The referee almost goes down. Sadler gets away from the right, takes a sharp right on the jaw by Willie Pep. Sadler on the inside, moves in on Pep, misses the left, is jabbed off balance again by Pep's left hand. Pep is up on his toes, and then he's down on the flat of his feet. The round is almost over. Sadler coming in on Pep once again. They're in a clinch, and the referee is over to get them apart.
What do you think about that, having the 7th round taken away from you?
It was right. It was right. I just lost my head. You can't lose your head with a great fighter. You got to be calm and cool. And I just wanted to beat this guy, and I lost my head, and that's all I've got to say. I'm guilty.
All right, but this poor referee.
I didn't like him.
He's down on the...
The referee should have left us alone.
He's down on the ring, yeah. If he left
You didn't need a referee.
Oh, we really did.
Who knocked him down? You, Sadly, or
No, he was trying
Sandy, or
to
what?
push us apart. He fell down.
What happened was when he was in there trying to get us apart, like Willie pulled him the opposite way, and he went off this way and went around. I remember that well. And he went around this way and went and this fell over.
I know he was saying, come on, break, fellas, break, fellas. Now he fell down. He got to break, you son of a... And he broke us up. He was very angry. I boxed 240 other fights that no one could say I ever done anything out of the way, which I didn't.
What?
But with this guy, it was a different story.
You're reputed to be one of the greatest, if not the greatest boxer of all time, Willie. And
Well,
Sandy, you're supposed to be the hardest hitter in the division. Why do you fellas have to put on a roughhouse when you're 2 of the greatest fighters who ever lived?
Well, Willie had something that I wanted, and he had something that, and vice versa. So that's the way it was.
Well, that's no excuse. You still come out. You're a champion.
Well, I had a
You
style.
don't have to fight
Willie had a
roughhouse.
style. He was a
Boxer.
a superb boxer, and see, and I wasn't quite as sharp as Willie was, you know.
But
and
you
I
were a
was a
harder
puncher.
hitter.
I was a harder puncher. So in order to make a fight, I had to go to Pep. And that's the way it was.
Here's round 8 of a 15-round bout for the featherweight championship of the world. Pep in the black trunks, and Sadler tried to kill him with that right hand, no question about it. Little love lost between these fighters. Pep backing away now, Sadler coming in, missing that left hand uppercut. Sadler gets behind Pep and tries to cave in his head, but he misses the punch, and the referee comes over to get them apart. Pep is in with a light jab to the head. Again, they go to close quarters. There's Pep trying to trick Sadler, and he does. And he's got Sandy down. They've both been down now, but this one was not official. Pep was down in the second round. The referee warns Willie Pep again. Sadler hooks that left hand to the body. Pep backing away, takes another hard left hand to the body. Those body punches must be taking their toll. They whirl each other around, and again the referee comes over. And this time he really has a job getting them apart. Nobody wants to let go, apparently. Still hasn't got them apart, and now they're apart. Pep backing away, Sadler the aggressor, takes a left hook on the jaw. Pep puts a light jab in the mouth, another one in there. Sadler works the body with the right hand, misses the left hand over the head as Pep goes down low, and Pep tries to throw Sadler down, but this time he runs into the referee, Sadler does. A right to the jaw by Pep, a left hook to the mouth by Willie Pep. Still the master boxer, beating Sadler to the punch with the right hand. The round is almost over. Pep feinting the left hand, backs away. There's the bell. Here's the 9th round. Remember, Pep was cut on the right eye in the second round. Pep may be ahead on points, but Sadler's body punching is hurting Pep, and the eye is really bad now. The referee comes over to get them out of another clinch here in round 9. It is scheduled for 15. Pep may be tiring a little bit here. Pep, short right uppercut to the jaw. Sadler misses the right. Pep, a hard right hand to the jaw of Sadler. And then a right by Pep is wide of the mark. The referee is Ray Miller. Pep puts the right on the jaw, heels a little bit with the left hand as he shoots out a jab in there. A grazing right to the jaw by Pep. He misses the right hand, shoots out a left that's wide of the mark. Pep a short right to the jaw. Sadler coming in on him with those caving left hooks. And again, they go to close quarters and are tying each other up. The referee is trying to get them apart, but it is not easy at this point. They don't want to let go. And finally they do. At long range again, Sadler digs that hard left hand to the body. A short jolting right to the jaw by Sandy Sadler. Again, the referee gets them apart. The round is almost over. Pep is against the ropes now. Sadler holding him there. There's the bell. Here comes the doctor in, Dr. Nardiello. This could very well signal the end of the fight if he doesn't like Pep's condition. Let's see what happens here. Here's the ring announcer, Johnny Addy.
Willie Pep, unable to continue, the winner at the end of the 9th round, and still the featherweight champion of the world, Sandy Sadler.
Sandy, you didn't act too happy about this.
Well, no, I was happy I won the fight, but Dr. Nardiello was telling me, he said, geez, he said, you knew anything? He said, geez, that Pep quit. He said, that Pep quit. Just like that,
He came over to the corner. He came over to the corner. He said, why don't you keep fighting? I said, why don't you fight him? I got one eye closed. The guy's beating me to death. I'm going to keep fighting. I can't see.
In other words, the doctor told you.
The doctor told me that.
I told him I couldn't continue. Listen, you need two eyes. You can't fight with one eye down. You know, I hear those brave guys going 8 rounds with one eye, and they wind up going blind. You know, nobody wants to go blind. I went as far as I could. I couldn't continue.
Because Pep was considered one of the greatest fighters of all time. I mean, according to Nat Fletcher seen Jack Dempsey and the guys, different fellas like that, and he was one of the greatest. He said Willie Pep is one of the greatest fighters that he have ever, you know, laid eyes on.
Well, if I had to take one man in the featherweight division as a knockout artist and as a hitter, I'm going to go with you, Sandy.
Well, you have to go by what the records say. I guess the record, the records say, what you going to say, what you going to do? You know, the records say I'm the 3rd in the world and the only one in the featherweight division.
And he retired undefeated.
And I retired undefeated.
That's featherweight. Right, that's important.
Like his father, whose faith once drove him to change his name in court, Sadler carried his own quirks into the fight game. Only his altar wasn't a pulpit. It was a card table with a fortune teller sitting across from him. He wouldn't sign for a title fight until she told him the date had luck in its bones. The bigger the fight, the more he leaned in to hear the whisper of fate. After taking Pep's number for the 3rd time, Sadler climbed into the lightweight waters. And like a gambler chasing the wrong hunch, he hit a cold streak. 3 straight losses. He dropped decisions to Paddy DeMarco and George Arujo, then found himself in the middle of a circus in Montreal against Armand Savoy, warned for hitting on the break and raking Savoy's face with the heel of his glove. Sadler drew the ire of the crowd. Before the 4th round could start, Montreal Athletic Commission President Emile Gauthier climbed into the ring to lecture him on dirty tactics. Sadler told him to go to hell. Gauthier stopped the fight on the spot, awarding Savoy a disqualification win, and the night dissolved into a riot. Police once again had to escort Sadler back to his dressing room. A few months later, in March of 1952, he hit the canvas for only the second time in his career, courtesy of Irish Tommy Collins. Sadler got up, dusted himself off, and stopped Collins in 5. That summer, with the featherweight belt still around his waist, he entered the Army, and the title went into storage. He remained in the Army for 2 years. He wasn't popular among his fellow soldiers, who grumbled about the favoritism he received as an athlete. Even Congress took notice, with a House subcommittee looking into how named athletes seemed to land cushy assignments. Stationed in Germany, Sadler was granted leave for a few non-title fights. The last one before his discharge was against Bill Bossio.
Well, you'll have no difficulty in identifying these men because there's an 8-inch difference between them. Sandy Sadler is 5 feet 8½ inches in the white trunks, and Bill Bossio, one of the smallest men in the ring, is just 1/2 inch over 5 feet. However, in weight, they're pretty close. Bossio is 128 pounds, and the champion, Sandy Sadler, 130½. Of course, no titles at stake tonight, and this is the first time in 22 months that the champion's been in action. Little Bossio carries the fight to him. That's the only way a small man, of course, can fight a big fellow such as this, is move in close. And he's giving the champion some trouble. Referee is Barney Felix. Now some of the rust has been bounced off Sandy Sadler, and the champion's beginning to come to his own. Sandy's one of the hardest hitters of all fighters, no matter what the weight. And that left hand sends Bossio reeling. There goes another. Now the Army boy is bombing away, both hands. Bossio hangs on. The champion goes back to action again. That left hand is doing a lot of damage. Now Bossio sails back in again. There's a beautiful right and left, and it sends Bossio to the canvas. Right hand started it, and the left finished. Bossio's up at the count of 6, but he must take 8 count. That's obligatory in New York State. Champion sails in to finish him off if he can. Both hands for Bossio's a game one. Game little fellow from Pittsburgh hangs on. And there's... Now by round 5, Sadler has taken command. Bossio fighting gamely. He was a member of the United States Olympic boxing team 6 years ago. Bossio moves in. He has a good right-hand punch. But tonight he's outgunned. Sadler is in surprisingly good condition considering the fact he's been in the Army for 22 months. And there's nothing the matter with his boxing either. That left hand of his is a beaut. Bossio plugs away, but he's in trouble. He's been slowed down now by those terrific lefts and rights to the head. He flurries. He comes into the champion, but the champion's the master. Now in this 9th round, Bossio is in rather bad shape. His nose is cut and also a slight cut over his eye. Sadler's stamina has been tremendous. He seems as fresh as when he started. Beautiful boxing. The referee ruled that a knockdown, despite the fact that Bossio did not hit the canvas. But he must take that obligatory 8 count. The end's in sight now. Sadler punching away with both hands. He's hammering away, and in the corner, Bossio is almost helpless. The referee takes a look at it, and the referee stops the fight. Sandy Sadler is the winner by a technical knockout in 2 minutes and 35 seconds of the 9th round.
Sadler came marching home from the Army in April of 1954, the featherweight belt still his, and finally, after one of the longest title freezes the sport has ever seen, put it on the line again in February of 1955. The opponent was Teddy Davis, and the result was as exciting as a Sunday crossword. After 15 quiet rounds, Sadler kept his crown on a workmanlike decision. 5 months later, the plot twisted. Sadler flew halfway around the world to the Philippines, where flashy Lorde, fast hands, home crowd roar, was waiting. On paper it was an upset. Lorde took the decision. In the flesh, it was a bloodbath. Sadler's foul work, elbows, laces, whatever he could sneak in, left Lorde with his face carved up, eyes and mouth leaking blood, the win coming at a cost. January 1956 brought the rematch, this time under the lights of the Cow Palace in San Francisco. From the fifth round on, the boos rained down. Sadler, never one to charm a crowd, smashed Lorde with a headbutt, then went to work on the kidneys. He mugged him in clinches and punched while holding. Lorde stood up to it, but couldn't dent the champion. Sadler's shots had weight. Lorde's didn't. Finally, it wasn't a knockdown that ended it, but a jagged cut over Lorde's left eye. Ugly, deep, and bleeding too much to ignore. The referee waved it off. Another title defense for Sadler. Another chorus of boos in the books. Cruel Sandy Sadler, wrote the San Francisco Chronicle's Jack Fisk, pulled out all his weapons last night. It was a dirty fight throughout, and all the onus must be on the 126-pound champion's skinny shoulders. From this corner, it appeared highly improbable that he could have successfully defended the title if he hadn't resorted to all the so-called tricks in an out-of-the-rule book. Sadler, as always, wasn't losing sleep over the boos or the jabs of reporters. He wanted the next mountain, lightweight champ Bud Smith, and he wanted it now. But the punches outside the ring were harder to slip. In March of 1956, the headline shifted from the ring to the courts. His wife, Helen Roman, won a legal separation, custody of their 2 kids, and $175 a week in alimony. She also walked away with full ownership of their property. They'd married in 1952 while Sadler was in the Army. When he came back stateside, Helen said he left one day and told her flat out he wasn't coming back. Then came the worst round of his life, one he never saw coming. Riding in a taxi, Sadler was caught in a collision with a truck. The damage was brutal. A detached retina in his right eye and brain injuries. For months, he and the commission played a grim waiting game, but his doctor's verdict was final. Fight again, and he risked going blind. The title was stripped. Sadler was done. Retirement didn't mean idle hands. In New York, he took a post as an athletic instructor at the Maritime Union, teaching foreign sailors the fundamentals of fitness. He dipped into training fighters too, until tragedy struck again. One of his protégés, welterweight contender Rudy Sawyer, met a sudden and fatal end, and Sadler, for a while, walked away from the fight game entirely.
I had been on top for so long that I forgot what the bottom was like, only it had gotten worse. Kids were poorly trained, and the only desire they had was for fast money. Back then, nearly all the fighters had desire. You had to want to be a fighter. I tried with Sawyer, but you can't teach nobody desire, mister. Nowadays, a kid calls himself a fighter so he can get on welfare to keep from working. Sawyer had talent, though. He gave Benny Parade a great fight one time, but he didn't want to work or train. All he wanted was money and good time. I got him a nice fight once, and he got beat when he should have won. Found out the next day he'd been out fooling around all night. About 2 weeks later, he got himself killed right in Midtown Manhattan. Right then, I decided I'd had it. Boxing gave me the chance for success, but I wasn't going to give it the chance to drag me down.
In the ring, Sadler had built a career on bending the rules. But outside the ropes, he was learning what it felt like to be the one getting hit below the belt. He hauled his ex-wife Helen back into court, claiming the divorce she'd won was built on perjured testimony. Sadler said he'd been sending good money after bad, not to his own family, but to another man's wife. Helen had married another man, a housing project cop named Lucky Washington. Yet she was still collecting alimony checks from Sadler, as well as a $10,000 check when his accident settlement came through.
In 1952, I married a girl who appeared to me to be quiet, refined, and nice. Helen Roman was her name, and she seemed like a diamond in the rough in comparison to the brittle women who glittered among the sports crowd. But she sued me for separation on the eve of a major fight. I was never knocked out in the prize ring, but was KO'd repeatedly by the prize to whom I gave a wedding ring. Perhaps her husband's name is fitting. He luckily came into my $10,000.
Domestic chaos was in the rear view, and Sadler eventually returned to his training duties. In the mid-1970s, he worked as an assistant to George Foreman. By the early 1980s, he had a stable of fighters headed by junior lightweight contender Tony Santana. But when the Maritime building closed down, Sadler found himself without a job. He was now broke, his fight purses long vanished. Out on the streets, the old champ wasn't feared anymore. He was prey. Muggers got to him once, and the fear stuck. Sometimes Sadler wouldn't even leave his apartment. His Social Security and pension checks were routinely stolen from his mailbox. His electricity was shut off, and for a time he lived by candlelight. When he did venture out, he'd return to find his apartment ransacked, his title belts and fight memorabilia stolen. By 1989, one eye was gone to blindness, the other clouded with cataracts. "We have to help him," trainer Ray Arcel said. "But when we make an appointment for his eye and neurological examinations, sometimes we don't know where to find him." That same year, the streets came for him again. Somewhere in lower Manhattan, 2 men, maybe more, jumped him. The old champ went down hard on the concrete. In the frenzy to find his wallet, the muggers stripped his pants clean off. Police found him staggering, disoriented, half-blind and bare-legged. The only thing he could tell them was his name and that he had once been champion of the world. 2 weeks in the hospital led to a single room on the 6th floor of the Kingsbridge Terrace nursing home in the Bronx. His memory was fractured, his independence gone. On the morning of September 18, 2001, the staff found him still in bed, gone quietly in his sleep. The last bell for a man who once fought like it would never ring at all.